Welcome to The Last Word. I'm David Jenkins, joined once again by Chris Popes. And Chris, I saw on the Twitter where your buddy Derrick Rose went down again. It's kind of a shame. You okay?
It's a sad day.
You okay? He's
Sad. It's just depressing, man. When you think of his story and just how MVP is just one devastating injury, and it's just it never proves to be you can't really come back fully from that. You just can't do it. The body it can only do so much.
Yeah, he's just kind of cursed, and but speaking of the Twitter, I look on it from time to time. Even at my old age, I know where it's at.
Well, he finally knows hashtags.
I know what a hashtag is now.
Yeah.
It's you do some of those sort of things like that too. I don't know really all that, but I'm kind of learning new to the Twitter world, and now I don't tweet much. Maybe a score here or there, but I don't tweet much. But I know a lot of kids out there today do tweet, and I don't know if that's always such a good thing.
It's not. Twitter and social media, Facebook, Instagram, all that, they're wonderful tools. I do appreciate it. I like to do it. Unfortunately, I see some things that I don't really care to see sometimes, especially from high school athletes and high school kids in general. It's a growing problem, and for my take, it really hurts. I think as far as high school athletes go, it really, if you're not careful, you have to really watch what you do and say on social media accounts, because it will hurt your chances at a college scholarship. And I think me and you both are very. We want to promote high school kids. We're kind of in the business of that, of promoting high school athletics and helping, kind of in a way, in our own way, helping kids to kind of get college recognition and possibly further their college education and therefore go on and have a healthy, productive life after this. And when you do that, when you say stupid things, when you curse and just kind of make yourself look just not very good in another different way, it's just it hurts your chances of furthering and having those opportunities, which are very few and far between.
Yeah, I don't take part in much of Twitter. I'm very uncomfortable sometimes when I get compliments, but if you criticize me, sometimes I get a little. So I try to stay away from it. I try not to get with the message boards and stuff like that. But one thing I do notice when I do go to Twitter and I do read some stuff, especially from younger people, the N-word is thrown around a lot by,
unfortunately,
by everybody, and I don't understand it, and I don't, and it's just a common form of conversation. But to me, we're trying to get away from that, and then someone's just throwing it out there, and they're throwing out other comments with it, like you said, foul language and stuff like that. And these are kids that are wanting to get into college. If I'm a coach, I look at that and I'm like, that's not the kid I want in my program. That's not the kid I want.
You think you type whatever you want in and it's gone, it's done, it's no more. No, that is stuck there forever. You have college coaches, scouts. If colleges are interested in you, which is, like I said, the chances of you accepting and signing that letter of intent on that day and furthering and getting a college paid for college education are slim, even at the very best. And you do stuff like that, people, even you don't even know they might be interested in you. They're watching your social media accounts, they're watching you, and you might turn off people that you have no idea that would even be interested in you.
And a couple weeks ago we got on Coach Nutt with SEMO for being not recruiting this guy, that guy, and there may be a reason that he doesn't recruit. I'm not saying that that's the reason, but there's college coaches look at some stuff and they're like, well, that's not a kid I want in my program, and I would understand that. I really I hired you a long time ago, back whenever I was sports editor. I hired you, and if I would have seen something like that on a social media account, I would have never even called you in for an interview. It never would have even, you never would have even known, because I wouldn't have even wasted my time with you.
In this day of technology, there's so many stories like that, even outside of the college world, where people are complaining about their jobs here and there on Facebook or whatever. Well, they get a call from the boss that, hey, don't worry about coming in. What you said here, it's affecting. You have to. In this world, we have this way of communicating through social media and think that there's no consequences through that. That's not the case. Your voice now is what your Twitter feed says. That's your voice. I don't like it. I prefer one-on-one conversations a lot of times. I do like to tweet. I like the Facebook. I like all that stuff. But with kids today, growing up in this social media, with the way that's growing up, this is the way it is. That's your voice. That's your persona, so to speak. Keep it clean. Keep it right. Use a good head on your shoulders, and it's time to. I know, like I said, I just feel like we're in a position to where we can help promote kids and help
Right.
get them and further their lives and better their lives, and
But
hopefully,
you know, if they're not helping promote themselves, you know, that's Twitter should be used as something to promote yourself, Facebook to promote yourself, and not bring yourself down. And I think that's what kids are missing out on. You know, you can really make yourself come across as real intelligent, a kid that a great teammate that you know people want to be around and everything. But if you don't, you know, but if you use it the other way, it can really hurt you.
You know, being a productive citizen in this world is a conscious effort. You have to consciously do it, because if you don't, your instincts will take over, and sometimes that's not the best thing in a heated moment. That's not the best thing for anybody. Everybody messes up, but it's a conscious effort to do that, and it will show. Positive things will happen to you if you do that.
Speaking of heated moments, we'll switch gears a little bit. We'll talk about the district tournaments, and we've got some heated district tournaments that are going on.
Yes, we do.
A lot, you know. So far, the small schools finally kicked off, most of them on Monday. You know, weather wreaked havoc, but now we're going to have some finals on Friday, thank goodness, which they should be on. I'm just saying, people, it should be on
Friday championship night.
You know,
Friday fight night.
Get more people in there. It's a bigger deal. You know, all of our picks that we picked last week in the small schools are still alive. You know, you got New Madrid and Hayti. You know, it looks like they're going to clash. It looks to me like they're going to clash in the championship of Class 3 District 1.
I would think so, barring a monumental upset with Crothersville and New Madrid. Crothersville looked, that was that first time actually this season that I saw Crothersville in person. They're not a bad team. I don't think they have enough to beat this New Madrid team. I think New Madrid's just too much loaded. Hayti is just filled with athleticism. You know, Brandon Burden, Indiquil Pressbury. He didn't have a great game, but he'll have a decent one to come.
You know, and Malden's was playing without Cortez Dobbins, who's out with an injury, so you know that's their best player. I think they're going to struggle against Hayti. So I think New Madrid, you know, takes over and
I think so too.
And beats Hayti in that one. You know, Class 3 District 2, you got Charleston. You know, they're going to play Scott City, Woodland, and Arcadia Valley in the semifinals. We both picked Charleston to come out of that. I don't think anything's changed there.
No, nothing has. It might be a little closer than I think people might realize, but Scott City, they've quietly had a decent season. They've, you know, I'm not really sure of their record right now. I don't know if you have it or not, but you know, I think they're capable of kind of hanging around with Charleston. I really do. I think they are, especially at home. That's huge for them.
That'll definitely help.
But I think Charleston is by way the favorite in this one, and still continues to be. And looking forward to that Charleston Madrid sectional.
Yeah. Then you have Class 2. That sectional game. That'll be before we film our next show. That'll be next Wednesday. I think it's at Dexter, if I'm not mistaken. That'll be a game to watch. I think that'll go down the wire. You have Class 2 District 1 though. You still have that Scott Central Bernie final maybe going to happen. You know, Bernie has.
You don't think that though?
I'm not. I think Bloomfield gives them a game. I think
Bernie gives Bernie a game. Yes.
Right. I think Bloomfield gives Bernie a game, but I think Bernie pulls it out, and Scott Central and Bernie in that final they will play. But I think Bloomfield's going to give them everything they want. They played three. This will be their third time they play this year. Bloomfield's a team loaded with juniors. They're going to be a team to beat next year. But I think that's going to be the best game of the night on Thursday.
Yeah, we that game right there. You know, Bloomfield. I haven't seen them. You've saw them a couple times this year. I have seen Bernie, and know obviously Bernie. Of course, we said it all year. You know, they're well coached. They just find ways to win those games. I wouldn't be surprised, like you, if Bloomfield happens to pull this one out. But I've been rooting for a SEC Bernie final all year.
I hope it happens, because that's where I'll be on Friday night. But you know, that's you know, I definitely want to see that. But you know, Bloomfield's got something to say in that. I think Scott Central will get past South Penn pretty easily.
I would think so,
and set up that championship there. You have Class 1 District 1. I believe it's Clarkton Gideon. They're playing for the championship there. We both said Clarkton was going to win that. There's nothing that's changed my mind there. I think Clarkton playing at home wins that game.
Clarkton got couched by the skin of their teeth last night. It was 73-70. They, you know, at home. I read Coach Heap's comment. They send comments along with their box scores and stuff, and he said this is a game at home. And he said, like, you know, 2/3 of the gym was rooting against them. I don't know if this was opposing teams going against Clarkton. People don't like to root for Clarkton. They like to root against Clarkton.
Clarkton is the Yankees of the Tri-County Conference. People just don't like Clarkton, and you know, there's some stuff that's happened in the past.
Gave them a reason, but
there's some things that have happened in the past. But Clarkton's just not very well liked, down there. And so, you know, even though it's a home crowd, it may be a hostile crowd, because Gideon will bring a huge crowd there too.
That's a great place to play, by the way. I love that gym, the old school gym. You people's on top of you.
Risco, Clarkton, Gideon, those are some good gyms. I like those old gyms. But I think I'm sticking with Clarkton. I think Clarkton pulls it out, and I think Coach Heave knows how to win and get the most out of his team.
Coach Heave, I think he's a guy that, like I say, he's been in these battles, won state championships before. He knows all about it. He knows the pressure. Clarkson's got some scores. They got 4 guys on any given night that can lead them. I don't know too much about Gideon. I cannot think of their record off the top of my head, but they've had a pretty good season.
16-6 or
decent
something.
Season,
pretty good season
for them.
Yeah, pretty good year. And they've split. They've split between each other. This will be the rubber match, I believe. So it's anybody can win that one, but I think I'm going to lean toward Clarkton.
Giving the Reindeer an edge at supposedly home.
In the other Class 1 District 1 or Class 1 District 2, we got Orion Advance playing in the championship. We had
Eagles.
that. You're taking Eagles. I'm taking Advance. I think Advance beat them earlier in the year bad, and I think they beat them again.
Orion's healthy. Healthy. They're rolling right now.
Advance is healthy. I don't know anybody that heard on Advance.
Yeah, but Advance has been healthy all year.
Yeah, and they smoked them earlier.
Yeah, but Orion wasn't.
I'm taking Advance.
Hey,
I learned my lesson last year.
You learned your lesson last year.
I'm not going against Advanced districts.
I think you should have learned not to go against me.
I go against you all the time and I'm right, so I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about going against Advance.
Lane Ballou is not walking through that door.
No, but Dawson Mayo is.
I wish he was. I like me some Lane Below, but
I think. Come on. Let's switch and talk to our Class 4 District 1, which will be at Sykeston next week.
Yeah, that's a big one.
My goodness, that's going to be a tough tournament. Notre Dame got the 1, Cape Central the 2, Sykeston the 3. The rest of it doesn't matter. I think those 3 schools are the only ones that are in it. And I think Sykeston, at the number 3 seed, comes out with this a winner. I don't see Cape Central beating Sykeston 3 times at the field house. I don't know the last time that's happened, if it's ever happened, a team beating Sykeston 3 times at the field house.
In one season.
In one season.
It's tough. It really is tough to beat Sykeston at home, regardless of the year. We were talking before the show. I believe I took Sykeston at our very way too early district predictions. I really like the way Notre Dame's playing right now.
Yeah, Sykeston
they are rolling.
Sykeston beat them by 30 early in the year.
But you could. I think you can't.
You say you can throw it out the window.
I think you can.
But I don't believe you can, because it's in. First off, it's in their heads. Secondly, I've seen Notre Dame play a few times, and I just don't think they're. I don't think they're better. I know that they win games, but I don't think that they can handle Sykeston's pressure. If Sykeston can score, Sykeston's going to be playing at home. They're going to be fired up if they do get that game. I think all the way Notre Dame wins the district title is they play Cape Central in that final.
Sykeston needs a good game against Cape Central. They need to be fired up. They are one of the best when playing ahead, when they have the advantage, when momentum is going on their side. They are one of the best. They cannot be stopped. It seems like when that happens. And that same case happened when they played Notre Dame. Got on a hot streak, beat them by 30.
You've got to be able to get the ball across half court, number one, and you've got to be able to score in transition against them.
I took Sykeston at the beginning of the year. I'll take them again. All right. I'll take them again. That's a tough road. They got to beat Cape Central and Notre Dame.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough.
You know why this tournament is so important, Jinx? Because after this, they got a walk to the Final Four.
Yeah, whoever wins this district tournament, basically, I think their
mama can hold their hand and walk them to the Final Four.
I think maybe Westminster in a quarterfinal game, which would be their toughest. I think that would be the toughest team in their way. Westminster, they're not chopped liver, but I think
they're not.
I don't think that Westminster is better than Notre Dame, Cape Central, or Sykeston. No. I really don't.
No. So these 3 teams are the best on this side of on our bracket side.
But we thought the same thing last year with Cape Central, and they, after they won,
Cape Central is the enigma of Southeast Missouri basketball.
Watch them win it again,
and they'll dominate. Watch them. Just watch.
Then we have real quick Class 5 District 1. That's at Fox. It's got Poplar Bluff 1, Jackson 2, and a bunch of other teams that nobody cares about. They aren't going to factor in.
I love how we do our research around here.
Well, I mean, it's Fox second in Northwest, but who cares? There are 3 teams with losing records. Jackson beats Bluff in the championship game.
I'm going Bluff over Jackson in the championship game.
Well, you're going to be wrong again. But, Jackson's playing well. I think Jackson matches up with Poplar Bluff pretty well. I think Jackson will be just fine. Jackson knows how to win these games. Poplar Bluff has been a while.
Bluff wins if there's not a leak in the gym.
Could happen. It's in Fox. I don't know. Fox may have I've never been to Fox's gym, so.
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Poplar Bluff, their boys game got canceled because there's a leak in Peter's gym.
Yeah, well,
It was a huge, like, water coming down, raining, literally raining from the sky.
yeah, well, hopefully it doesn't happen to Fox. 'Cause they're playing at Fox, not playing at Poplar Bluff. So, neutral court game, I think Jackson. I'm going to take Jackson over Bluff. I think Jackson's better.
I'm going Bluff. I like if they play anything like that against New Madrid, no problem.
Yeah, but then they lost, a couple of games since then. So we'll see. We'll see.
Girls, I would like to mention Sykes and girls having one heck of a season. They got a chance to win. They have clinched a share of the SEMO Conference Championship, a regular season championship. Clipped their school win record with 19. Got a chance to make a dent somewhat in that horrible district streak that they've had in the recent years. Dexter's still on their way, but it's a good thing for that program. They've struggled for a very, very long time.
Dexter Sykes will meet Thursday night, and there's probably going to be those two teams in the championship a week from Friday in district, and I think that'll
they
be
got a shot.
Yeah,
I think they got a shot.
It's going to be fun to watch. I think two good defensive teams there. I think so. We'll see. We'll see you guys at a game somewhere, I'm sure. So we'll see you guys next week on The Last Word.